So the idea today is to have a really interactive session about Google Classroom and a writing program that Clarissa and I have been developing at Casa Thomas Jefferson here in Brazil. Well, it's funny when I think of the writing classroom, and when I think of when I started as a teacher, I really remembered how many papers I had, and you can see here Casa Thomas Jefferson, one of the school branches I work at. And when I started as a teacher, the funny thing about it was how many papers I had to carry all over. Do you have the same feeling, like, you know, tons of papers and for classroom activities, for, you know, all kinds of activities? And then by the end of the semester, I had like a pile of, you know, folders with papers that I would keep from one year to the next, or one semester to the next, because we are in a language school setting. Hi, Clarissa, she's back. So I'm just talking about my experience here when I started as a teacher and the number of papers we had to carry. um, so, I could imagine a day that we would have no paper, and we really wouldn't have, you know, it would be a paperless classroom. I could imagine that, but I could never, I could never picture myself really in this situation. So when I heard about Google Classroom last year, I was really excited about it, and I really wanted to give it a try, in the sense that I realized that many of the things that we did in our writing classes could be automatized. And then the management system there, because Google Classroom is really a management system, a learning management system, a content management system. So I realized that by having this Google Classroom, things would be automatized for me, and then I wouldn't have to carry those many papers. The teachers at my school wouldn't be carrying all those papers, and the management for the writing classroom would be really different. So that was my main motivation to try out Google Classroom. Yeah. Then at that point, I had the Gaphy account, which is Google Apps for Education account. And that's the only way you can really have the Google Classroom. I had Gaphy. I felt like, oh my God, this is perfect, because then I can test Google Classroom with my teachers and see you know, the potential to use it or not. Yes, depending on the results in this pilot project that I was going to try out. We started last year with 2 teachers only. It was Clarissa and Leonardo. And then we moved on and decided that this semester we would have a pilot project for some teachers, and we would invite those teachers to join us for the pilot project. Now, the profile of the teachers that we invited for the project was really varied. The main, like the common ground there to invite those teachers was that they were passionate about, you know, the classroom learning, about technology. Not that they were tech savvy, no. We tried to vary the levels of digital literacy that they had, but we made sure to have this core group of engaged, motivated teachers to try out this new tool called Google Classroom. And when we presented the idea, nobody had a clue about what it was, yeah? But the first thing that we needed to do in order to start the project was really to get the academic coordination on board. So they needed to be excited about the project, and we needed their, you know, thumbs up, in the sense that if they were on board with us for any kind of situation that we would have with the teachers and the students, they would back us up in the project until the end. So one thing that we need to do when we start a piloting project is really to get the academic coordination on board. So then we decided that we are going to have those invited teachers for the project, and we call them the classroom gurus. It is a group of very excited teachers, as you can see. They're all working. This is an image of our very first session together. And it was the time that we really presented the concept of Google Classroom, and we tested things with them. Yeah, they didn't know much about it, really. It was brand new for all of them, though we had different levels of digital literacies there. You can see that the meeting was very powerful in the sense that everybody was excited about the idea of a paperless writing program. And we had this collaboration. We could see that it would be a group that would share things with one another. In this meeting, we immediately created a WhatsApp group so that we could have a more fluid communication with the group, though we also created the Google Classroom for them to try it out. Yeah. And the day we started, like in the day of the project launch, which you can see in the image there, that was exactly the day, the first meeting. We asked the teachers about their perspective and their thoughts on the new classroom. Yeah, what did it really mean to have this new classroom? Yeah, what were their feelings, their thoughts? And in order to do that, we started using Google Docs, because not all of them had used it before. So I think it was the first step into, this whole collaborative and sharing thing in Google Docs. And we had wonderful answers, such as this one. It means that teachers and students will be in closer contact and will be able to organize papers. It will probably save time and make communication faster. You can see there we have a bigger idea in relation to this new classroom. And I really love them. Take a look at the bold part of it. Yes, technology and cognition working together. It is a porous classroom. Classrooms are not boxes where sterile knowledge is passed. And at the end, the teacher says that technology is the means to optimize the workload, leaving time and energy for learning. Yeah? So I think this was really brilliant, in the sense that the teachers were really thinking ahead, and it had a lot to do already with our plans for Google Classroom. Now, then how did it start? Yeah, so what was our first step? So first we got, number one, we got the coordination on board in the project. Number two, we decided for a core group of teachers, not really tech savvy, but the ones that we saw engagement and motivation to carry on with the project. And also we knew that they were multipliers. And number three in the project, like step 3 in the project, was really about teacher. So we created a teacher classroom to model with the gurus. So it was a way for them to have a feel of Google Classroom. Yeah. Testing the tool itself. So we had this idea of having me in 6 slides. So we had the Google Classroom for the gurus, the classroom gurus, and they were there, and they tried out this activity, me in 6 slides, in which they tested as if they were students. Yeah, so one of the answers there, they had like a sample slide that once they clicked, they got a copy in their drive, and they accessed it and had like projects and dreams. I dream of having students involved. I want to make a difference in their lives. And then, of course, after the project was done, they could really, I shared all the answers with the gurus so that they had a feel of what it would be like to be in a Google Classroom. That was the main point uh, of this activity, yeah, with them. Okay, so then we practiced as a group. So in the first meeting, we set up everything, like they set up their own classes, they learned how to deal with student issues, all kinds of things. Next step in the project was really to get the students on board. So we had a set of guidelines for students, and mainly in terms of guidelines, we decided that first, in our writing program, we have a process writing program. Though we are a language school here in Brazil, let me just give you some background here. We are a school of English where students come after their classes in school, in their schools. So after they have their school time, they come to us for extra English practice. That's the main point. And though we are an English school, and generally English schools don't demand as much in the writing program, we really care about this writing program, and it's process writing. The students have more than one draft to write and everything else. So we decided that in this project, at least in the beginning, we would really try to focus on Google Classroom and then do everything online. Before, the students were all doing on paper, like all the work, so they would, you know, write their drafts, hand in to the teacher, then the teacher would return the draft with some comments and some symbols to point out like a word form mistake or any kind of verb form, you know, all the process writing issue. And then the student corrects this paper and gives it back to the teacher, and the teacher gives a grade based on a rubric that we had. So we decided that we are going to start the project with all the students in those specific classes that those teachers were teaching using Google Classroom. And then we created a tutorial for the students, and that's what you can see on the screen there. So we created everything like, you know, step by step, enter the class code, join, all. It's pretty straightforward. We didn't feel we needed to do that, but we thought like, let's cover all, you know, areas there and to make it a success. So you can see there another example of the tutorial we created. We realized that the students, if they didn't get that, they could be lost. So there are not many places in the Google Classroom to do that. So once the teacher sets the assignment, then you just click open, like the student clicks open, and then Google already generates a copy, and this copy goes to the student folder and the teacher folder, yeah? So here again, just to give you an example, again, in the tutorial, how, you know, we try to cover everything, like do not click on create. And this is something that we are going to discuss later on, because they really tended to click on create. And then what we did was we have a pre-writing process. So it's not just about the writing itself, but we develop a whole pre-writing part, and it's part of the program. So the teacher still did the activities in class, like the pre-writing activities, but now it's even better because, you know, the teacher can post, the academic supervisor, in this case Clarissa, she posted the format, like the template of the you know, the writing instructions for the students. The teacher copied, all the gurus, the classroom gurus, copied this template, yes, to their own drive, and then they post it as an assignment for the students in Google Classroom. So you can see here an example of what the instructions look like for the student. Yes, so they work in class, but then when they get online and when they get their assignment, they also have all the input that they need and all the scaffolding, the strategies, and questions to help them out and to make them feel comfortable to write their first composition. Sometimes it's a paragraph. In this case it was a paragraph, so it depends on the level of English and fluency that we are talking about. Now when they were done writing their assignment, then they had a box, and you can see there on the top right the turn-in button, and that's the magic button in Google Classroom, and in fact in Google Docs, yes, the copy that was generated for the assignment for each student. So they click on turn in, and then the magic happens. The teacher gets like a list of students who have turned in, and for the student sees your assignment has been turned in and you are done. Yeah. So then it's from there on, it's the teacher's part in terms of giving feedback to students, and later on the teacher will submit the feedback, and the students can review what they did. Okay, so this is how it looks like in terms of student draft. Yes, so after the student, when the student turns in, that's what the teacher is gonna get, the student's text, and then it's time for the teacher to give feedback. Yes, so here you can see that Clarissa has given some feedback. You can just, and this is the beauty of working with Google Classroom and Google Docs. You just highlight the main parts, and you can add some comments to the student, and you see that the teacher works on two bases here. Like first, the grammar part, we are talking about an English class, so it's really and this is like advanced level, so they're really working on the English part in terms of language structure, plus the content itself. Yeah, so the teacher generally works in two areas there, and the main point is that you can really ask questions to students. It is as if the teacher is having a conversation with the student about his or her draft. Yes, so here the teacher, besides the comments on the sidebar, you can see that the teacher added some questions and reminded the student that he needed to work a little bit on the conclusion and all that. So the beauty of this system is that it seems that the teacher has many more opportunities to give feedback to students, because then it's just like a conversation. And sometimes when we think about paper-based writing assignments, we have first the limit of the paper. Yes, there is a physical atomic limit for the paper, but then now you can just, with this digital platform, you can really expand on that. Yeah. Okay, let me just hold on for a second here, and I wanted to see if you have any questions there. Clarice, I don't know what happened to her, but I just wanted to check. I just wanted to check with you. I don't know if I can do it, but I'll keep going, and at the end I will join the live platform for comments and questions. Yes, so I was talking about the teacher feedback, rubrics. So I remember the time when I had to grade my students, and sometimes oral participation and oral performance, and sometimes even writing assignments. And I remember the time that there was not much I could do about, the kind of grade I was going to give. It was just like, oh, it's around, you know, it's the writing assignment is worth 100 points. Okay, this guy in comparison to the other is around 75, 80 or something like that. So it is really important in our writing program to have these rubrics, because it gives us standards, yeah, and it gives us this sense of it gives us the sense of transparency, really. So this is a page that gets, you have the page, the student will have the page by the end of the Google document that he's working on Google Classroom. So let's get back a little bit. We are going to have first the pre-writing part of the assignment, the writing assignment. It can be videos, it can be, questions, it can be a model, anything to help the student develop his or her essay or composition or paragraph or writing assignment of any kind. Then you have the writing assignment itself. First, the student writes his draft, then he or she submits it to the teacher, and then the teacher gives feedback to the student. Yeah, like I've shown before here, that Clarissa gave feedback to her student. And then she returns the paper to students. The students can work on the second draft, so the students can really improve their writing. And if you notice on the sidebar where Clarissa wrote the comments, you can see that there is resolve. It's like grade. So when the student is correcting and editing his or her draft, in fact, he or she can just click on resolve and it will disappear, though the comments will be up. Yes, so it will be a clean draft that the student can resubmit to the teacher. And then finally, no, because in the first draft, the teacher will already give, and you can see there, you have two columns, yes, in the rubrics. You have the first draft and the second draft. So in the first draft, the teacher gives like a initial grade for the student, and then in the second draft, the student can even improve the score. Yeah, so that's the main idea of the program. Yeah, and that's mainly it. Clarissa, maybe you could tell me if there is any questions or something.
Carla, not yet. I have just a comment was made. It was, let me just locate what this participant just said. We had Sean Dooley, he just commented, he said, automatically collecting district username automatically blocks out anyone that is not within the district. Not a bad thing. So I think that has to do with one of the advantages of using Google Classroom, that you can pretty much make it a safe place and limit to your students in your district or your school. So he's just making a comment on that. But I am monitoring it here. No further questions yet. Okay, so go right ahead.
Yes, I was just going to point out that yes, this is an advantage of Google Class. I think it can work really both ways. Yes, in the sense that let me put myself here back on. Okay, in the sense that you can have it's like a closed garden there. Yes, learning garden that all the students can be there in the district. And in our case, in our school, within a safe environment. On the other hand, sometimes we feel, and I've heard people saying that, well, it's a pity. It's just we need. Oh, and we need to create all the Google handles and all that for the project. So it is an issue sometimes in the sense that it's closed, and sometimes you want to expand it and bring in like guests and different people. And in this case, it would be a little bit more complicated. Yes, you would need to create a handle to the person, invite the person to the classroom. But in a way, it is, yes, sure, it is safe. It is a safe place. And another thing about Google Classroom and the writing project is the fact that every writing assignment that the student writes is there on one single place. And I think this is a big advantage, because you, Clarissa, you have helped design the portfolio, and I didn't even mention that this writing program has this idea of having a portfolio, a writing portfolio. So the students should have a reflection on their writing, and they should keep their portfolio, their physical portfolios from the first level of the advanced English to the last one. And we know, like working with teens, that it's really hard to have them keep that portfolio, the physical folder, yes, for 2 years. It's
Carla,
really a challenge, yes.
Carla, there's a question here from Tamara Maloff. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, Tamara, I'm sorry. A minute ago, she asked, can you show all student papers at the same time live via projector so that feedback and exemplars are shown in real time for students? That's her question.
Yes, that's a good question. In fact, as a teacher, you can just open your Google Drive and you'll see all the samples there, all your students' writings. And this is really fantastic, yes, in the sense that you have, yes, and I was talking about on the student side, the fact that they keep their writing assignments, but on the teacher side, you see everybody's assignment all together in one folder in Google Drive. And the best thing about it is the fact that Google automatized the process. So whenever you create an assignment, it automatically creates a folder for you with that specific assignment. So you can just project there and get every student's writing assignments as samples to discuss in class or do whatever you need to do. Yeah, so Clarissa, back to our talk here, the challenges of, keeping the physical folder. Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest challenges we have with our teenagers. I don't know if you want to comment on that or anything related to our project.
Yeah, well, regarding the portfolio development, I think that this tool, Google Classroom, has been I think it's been wonderful. We are now going to try something. We are going to try selecting some of our students' writings to showcase them. We don't know yet if it's going to be in the form of a blog or whatever, but it makes it so much easier for us to just access all of the documents. They're all in one place, and you just cannot lose them. You could lose a piece of paper. They lose their plastic portfolios all the time, So I think that's a good thing. So yeah, definitely, I think much more convenient than the plastic folder for sure.
Okay. What else can I say about, let's just get back to our sharing part here. So we were there in the rubrics part, yes, which is an important part of our writing program. And if anyone needs that, like a sample, I think we could provide. It's just a matter of sending us an email, carla.arena@ctjonline.com, and we would be pleased to share with you. In terms of challenges and opportunities, I think we are really just in the beginning of this pilot project. So we started with 13 classroom gurus, those teachers that I mentioned before. But what we want to do is really to have, to engage even more teachers in the project. I don't think we are going to force the teachers, all the teachers, to embrace this digital enhancement of our writing program. But I think it's the beginning. The idea is that the teachers will be free to choose if they want to try it out with their groups or not, but they need to be consistent. So that's what we've been dealing with, like all the issues that we have, the technical issues, the people issue we have with the students and the teachers. We are really trying to manage that in the sense that we can really put this forward and open it to any teacher in the school that wants to use Google Classroom for their writing programs. Another thing that we've noticed is that with some teachers, they liked it so much that they started to use with other classes, which is great, and we just created handles and everything for them. Now, if you think about the challenging part for us, the beginning, we had to create, the handles, the Gmail handles for every student, which is pretty simple. You can just upload the CSV file with the names, and then you get all the names and usernames and all that. But in the beginning, now I know that Google Classroom has this feature of letting the user reset the password, but in the beginning, we didn't have that. So the students would, they log in the first time, the second time they didn't remember their password. So we had to deal with this kind of technical issues. So it involved not only the teachers, Clarissa as the academic supervisor, me as, the ed tech, specialist in the school, but also like the administrative area, like the registrar's office, the online, we have like an online course, registrar's office. So we had to involve all of, areas in the school to deal with this kind of situation, yes? Some other issues, we had some challenges in relation to Google Classroom. Sometimes, assignments would disappear, but they really never disappeared. Generally, it was a user problem. We had to deal with that. But then we realized that, we had to ask the students to get a drive, or we had to ask the teachers to do that. The main thing, the biggest opportunity there is that, and when I think of digital literacy, I think that's where magic happens, in the sense that in terms of, from an educator's perspective, I can really see that we are trying to develop the students' digital literacies with this program. Though it is a writing program, they really need to get into Google Drive and Google Docs and learn how to collaborate, learn how to share with teachers. They had no clue when they started, though they are very tech savvy and they are digital, they're digital netizens, I would say. Still, they had problems with that, and we had to deal with that, and they are learning from that. On the teacher side, the same. They are really developing their digital literacies. They are getting more daring, and I think that this will reflect on their own classrooms, I would say. Clarissa, your challenges and opportunities as an academic.
Well, I think that there are many challenges and many opportunities alike. I think that in terms of digital literacy, it's a big opportunity. And I'm not only talking about our students, I'm talking about our teachers. So it's a big professional development and a digital literacy development opportunity for our teachers as well. So that's why Carla mentioned that we don't really want to impose anything. We would like people to try out with it. We would like our teachers to feel confident and learn how to work this new tool and make the most of it, because you can use it in so many different ways, as I have been with my students. I have been using it to share links, to share readings, to share other activities, Google Forms that I share on my Google Classroom. I share review exercises via Google Forms, and I can work formatively with them in terms of assessment. We are encouraging our teachers to try out with it, to play with it, to tinker with it, really. So there are many opportunities there. Now, the challengers, many also. I think that not everybody is as, ready to jump in and run the risk of using something like that. Sometimes it's a minority of our students are still kind of resistant. So some students prefer to just hand in the paper because they're just able to do it 10 minutes before the class. And it's those kinds of challenges that are coming up and that we are having to deal with. But definitely a very rich experience at that, because we are experiencing situations that are new also. But I think everybody is learning together. So sometimes when you don't know how to work the platform, a glitch, a bug appears, your students will help you. You learn from your students. It's all pretty intuitive for the student. So I think it's a great connected type of connectivist somehow experience. So I think it's the two things, lots of opportunities and challenges alike.
Yes, true. And the yesterday I was talking to some teachers about the project, and our question now is what next? Yes, what are we gonna do next? Our next steps well, I was asking them if they were really willing to keep going, like to do it next semester, though they had some, technical issues and the issues that we have in any new project that we endeavor. Yeah. So two of them, I was talking to two of them, and they said, you know what? Sometimes it's challenging, but I really prefer that because it's organized for me. I don't have to worry about papers. I know that if the student didn't hand in, it's going to show me there in the grade book. So I can keep more control of what's happening in this writing program, because there are drafts coming back and forth. Yeah. Another teacher had a very interesting perspective. He asked me, "Oh my God, don't you feel that in this digital part we can lose more time, but spend more time? It's not wasting time, but spend more time giving feedback to students." And I said, "Oh, of course, because then we can be much more prolific than we would be on a paper, because of what I said before. On a paper, we have the physical, the atomic restriction of a paper, yeah? There is no space left for you to write. When you get to the writing part in the digital platform, you can write and give as much feedback as you want, yeah? So I told him that maybe it was about balancing, as getting to a point that you're not going to give that much feedback, yeah, and overwhelm yourself and the student. But still, the teacher was willing to keep going and really keep trying this system. And one thing that we need to be aware of, that one semester, and that's what we've been working on. Clarissa has been longer in the project because she was one of the two that started last year. One thing we really need to be, alert and aware of is that one semester is not enough to judge if a project is successful or not. So we need to endure and to make sure that this is a successful piloting project and see where it takes us. Maybe it's not going to be like the writing assignment, but maybe Google Classroom will be all over the school for, for the teacher-student communication. I don't know. I think it's just a great, very simple and intuitive tool. We had teachers this semester that had never used Google Drive before, and they managed really well. So it's just a matter of getting started, getting small, and really making the work program and have like all the people on board, administrative and academic, plus of course, I'm including their academic, like the coordinator, the supervisor, and the teacher, plus the students and the parents. One thing that I didn't mention that it is worth mentioning is that in the second part, like when we handed in the first grades for the composition, Clarissa and I wrote a letter to the parents in which we explained the whole project and why we were doing that. So the reasons for the project, like the parents knowing why and what for we are doing it, is very important, so that they are on board with us and they understand and back us up with our students. Yes. So I think that's it. We have 1 minute. I don't know if there are any other questions. We have a great crowd. We have 120 viewers online. So if there are any questions, Clarissa.
Well, there's one question from Linda. I managed to answer her. She asked, how long has your project been working? I answered a year, just a year. We began with teacher Leonardo Sampaio and myself. We tried it out with one of our classes, and as Carla said, we are now in phase 2 with a small group of teachers, the gurus, we like to call them, the classroom gurus. So that was a question from Linda. Meg is asking to please share the link for the writing rubric before this webinar is over. Thank you so much. We will, okay? Right, Jose Antonio is just commenting that he finds it really inspiring and that he has always preferred this digital twist added to writing. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Linda, yes, the one asking for the rubrics.
Exactly. No, Meg. That was Meg Tufano. Meg was asking for the rubric. Yeah.
Okay, so Meg and whoever is watching us, what we are going to do, we are going to share some of our resources and, you know, ideas, maybe templates, Clarissa, of the pre-writing in the Google Docs. We could share that in the same link that you were there watching this show. You will see that there is a Google Drive icon, and that's where we are going to share the resources. So it's the same link that you entered for this session, and we are going to share it there. So I would just like to thank you all for being here. And if you have any questions, please contact us at carla.arena@cpjonline.com, and you can find me online on Google Plus, Carla Arena, and Clarissa Becerra. Yes. Thank you. And that's it. Thank you, Clarissa, for being here with us. And we will soon share on our Twitter handles, Carla Arena. What is your Twitter handle, Clarissa?
I am Clarissa MFB on Twitter.
Clarissa MFB. Yes, and we will share the links and resources to our Google Classroom project. Thank you, Clarissa. Thank you.